Hello dear students, I hope you're doing well. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who sent the homework, who did all parts of homework, send it with the essay that I gave you last week. When I was reading those essays about the little prince and the fox, I got some really nice ideas, so thank you for that. However, not all of you sent the homework. I have a doubt that you didn't even see the homework. So please be cautious, and when I send you something, please be attentive, pay attention to the information I send you, and please try your best to do the homework, because it is very important, especially this period when we cannot meet each other and the only way to communicate is online. So please be attentive. So as for today, before recording this video, actually, I was thinking what we did from September. Okay, I guess you also remember what we did, what we practiced, how much time we spent doing some activities such as listening exercises, reading books, writing essays, writing some short stories, writing some novels, etc. So I was thinking how much resources and materials we have covered this time. So what we managed to do was to produce our own literature, to produce our own piece of writing, which in some cases was fiction and in other cases was non-fiction. Well, very briefly to revise, what is fiction, what is non-fiction. So fiction, piece of writing which is invented, which is not true, which is not real, and it is part of your imagination that you did in September when I asked you to write your own fictional story. And non-fiction, which is true, which is real, which is not made up, such as researches, factual books, essays, emails, etc. So we all did that. However, there's another important aspect that we need to remember when we write or when we read, which is called tone of the writing. But traditionally, before we explain something new, we try to understand why we need it, right? So why do we need to know what the tone of writing is? Why we need it? Let me give you an example. Imagine these two situations. You work for a company, so you think there is a way to change something in the company and that may be beneficial for the staff and for the company and for you as well. So you decide to send an email to your manager. Let's consider these two situations. First situation, you write an email, and this email is academic, formal. It contains appropriate style, tone, and vocabulary, of course, appropriate introduction, conclusion, everything is in place. You send this kind of email to the manager and you wait for the feedback, of course. And let's imagine the second situation when you write the same idea, the content is the same, but the way you write is completely different. Instead of the academic language, the style is colloquial, spoken. There is not appropriate vocabulary, there is not appropriate style, there is not appropriate tone, and you send this kind of email to your manager, and you also wait for the feedback. What do you think? In which situation would you give positive feedback? Obviously in the first option, of course, because they saw the style. When you start reading at first, you need to understand how serious this requirement is based on the style that you're using, not the content itself. First of all, the language speaks itself and then the content. While in the second situation, when the manager opened the email, they might not even read till the end of the letter. Why? Because they realize the language is so inappropriate, the idea would be the same. So let's translate this into our everyday life. You are year 6 at the moment and you're studying in international school, and you have to pass international exams in the near future. And in these international exams, you have to produce your own language. And when you do that, you need to know what kind of style and tone you have to choose when you produce your own piece of writing. There are loads of types of tone in writing. but today I'm going to give you only 9 basic, main, most important tones of writing, which will be helpful and beneficial for you when you decide to produce your own piece of work. The first tone of writing is joyful. As the word suggests, it creates a nice atmosphere, nice relationship between you and the characters of a book, and the writers who use this type of tone of writing, they try to create a friendly, nice atmosphere between you and the characters they describing to you. For example, when you read about the character who is really kind, nice, helps the people and is friendly, happy, obviously you somehow connect to the person and you feel and you follow the narrator. So that's the main reason to use this joyful tone of writing by the authors. Second type of tone is serious. So serious type of tone is mainly used by authors who are writing about some serious events and when this piece of writing is very important, such as if you're reading a biography about a very important leader, the type and tone of writing has to be serious. Next type of writing, that is humorous. However, don't think that every humorous piece of work is really funny. There are lots of books that belong to humorous genre, but there are special reasons why the authors decide to do that. Sometimes the idea of the book and sometimes the opinion of the writer is so complicated and so complex, it's impossible for everyone to understand it easily. That's why sometimes the writers use this method. They use some humorous style and tone of writing to make sure that you understand everything they meant. So whenever you read some humorous story or novel or book, there might be some serious and strong opinion behind the humor. Next type of tone, it's a sad tone. Well, sadness is part of our lives, of course. We cannot escape that. And there are plenty of books that are written with a sad tone. No matter what is the ending of the story, when the story starts with a sad story, it serves one purpose: to make you compassionate, to make you sympathetic, and to make you follow the narrator. That's the only reason. Next type of writing, it's a formal writing, which I already mentioned in the beginning and I'll repeat again. When you write in an academic essay or when you write in a formal piece of writing, you need to use this formal style, of course. And this kind of writing, this formal type of writing, always contains the arguments and facts that are true, and they should be and can be easily proved. And of course, there is an informal style. Well, many consider that and you might also think when you read a book, and if there is some kind of informal style, you might think that it's not appropriate for a book. But there are special situations when writers, authors, or you might use this specific language. For example, if you're reading a book about street life, obviously the author and the writer has to use this street vocabulary, because in the street no one speaks with academic language. Everyone speaks normal spoken language. So that's why when you read a book which is about the street life, the language and tone would be informal, of course. So it depends on your choice what kind of piece of writing you have to produce, but there are some situations when you might need to use an informal way of writing. Next type of writing, it's an optimistic writing. When the story starts with a sad story, but you realize that at the end of the book there is something positive waiting for the characters. Like when the story starts with some sad story, there are lots of bad things going on, but you know that gradually this will improve, and at the end of the story there's a happy ending. So that is called an optimistic tone of writing. And obviously there is a pessimistic tone of writing as well. However, please do not make a mistake and don't think that pessimistic has anything to do with tragedy. Pessimistic stories start with so many bad things going on, It might be connected to the poverty of the characters, loads of other problems that the characters might be experiencing. But in pessimistic stories, the idea of the book is to think that there is no improvement in the future. So you don't know what will happen in the future, but you might predict that this will not be improved. This situation will even get worse in the future. So that is a pessimistic story. While in tragedy, usually the story might start with a positive beginning, but at the end of the story, there is a tragic ending. And finally, there is a horror type of tone. Well, I'm sure you know a lot about this genre. Horror tone is quite popular in movies. So the only reason why writers or authors use this type of tone is to make you scared and afraid. So all this information will be uploaded to your Google Classroom. I'll send you some links. You'll be able to read about types of tones in writing, why authors use these types of tones, and try to learn it. And finally, please pay attention to the homework that I upload to you, because it is very important at this moment of our education, because this is the only way how we communicate, and you need to pay attention to the homework I give you. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed and I hope it was helpful for you, and see you in the next class.